Here's where it gets interesting. Truck. Black truck. I drive a black truck. I need to get to my black truck. But at that moment, my brain was so cold and I was so just disoriented. I didn't truly know what a black truck was. Hello, world. It's story time. I have a story for you that might keep you alive in a situation in which you thought there's no odds of me being in danger of dying. But there probably is. Hypothermia. I want to talk to you about hypothermia and tell you a quick story. I had a pretty rough experience last year hunting in 40-degree temperatures. Okay, not super cold by any means, but it got bad real quick. Did you know you can get hypothermia in 75-degree water, 85, even 90? 90-degree water, you can get hypothermia. But 90 degrees is pretty warm, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Here's the thing. Subnormal body temperature is the textbook definition of hypothermia. But once we dive in a little deeper, what you need to know is it's pretty simple. Once your core temperature breaks 93 degrees, it goes 93 or lower, you become hypothermic. And what that does to your body is it tells your organs, hey, I'm cold, I'm dying, so we're going to start dying. So your organs will slowly but surely start like dying, decaying, decomposing. I mean, that's long term. But the early onset is your organs start misbehaving. They start failing to function because you're so cold. So hypothermia actually occurs when your body is cooling faster than its ability to warm itself. You slip into hypothermia. Some signs of hypothermia that you may not know of. Water seeming warm when it's actually not. And now that I say that, this may be the second time that I can recall that I've been in like pre-hypothermia state where it's really, really cold outside. I see a big body of water and I'm thinking, that actually looks kind of warming. I think I want to jump in there to warm myself up. I remember the thought had gone through my head, but I remember having, advanced medical training, knowing that is one of the things that occurs when people are hypothermic. Lots of times, search and rescue will find someone lost in the cold, in the snow, in the blizzard, and the last sign they find of them is their clothes by a river or a creek. Their brain is so just disoriented, they think it's warm. So if you or your friends are really, really cold and you're like, hey man, we need to warm up by getting in that water, you know the hypothermic. 2, people with hypothermia can often make no sense and be pretty irrational. I've had the thought in my head, like, this guy's out of control. He's going to hurt himself. Dude, why don't we just clock him, knock him out, problem solved. Can't do that. You can actually create heart failure. All right? When someone's in shock, hypothermia is like shock. You jar the body, even a slip and a fall can put someone into cardiac arrest. So you hit them, cardiac arrest. You can kill your friend or your patient. So don't do that. Here's another really big important thing to know is that Mother Nature, just like human beings, thrives for balance. We're always thriving for balance. When our life's just not going well, generally we're overworked and underrested. Or we're depressed because we're overrested and underworked. Like, we're always striving for balance. Mother Nature is no different. When it comes to core temperature or temperatures in general, Mother Nature likes to balance things out. So if my core temperature, let's say I'm got a little fever, I'm 100 degrees, and I sit on a rock that's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm 100 degrees Fahrenheit, over time, we're going to average out. That surface of that rock is going to become 75 degrees, and so is my butt. It's going to be 75 degrees, which will permeate the rest of my body and cool me and put me, honestly, into a hypothermic situation. The point of that is Mother Nature likes to balance, okay? Rocks are a decent conductor of temperature, so is water. Air, not so much. So if you are, going back to the beginning, 90-degree water, and knowing that 93 degrees is when you are in severe trouble, when your core temperature gets to 93 degrees, you're in big trouble. So if you put your core temperature, your body, 98 degrees, let's just use simple math, 98, not 98.6, and it's not exactly 98.6 anyway, it's in the 98 range, somewhere around there. You put 98-degree body, if you put a 98-degree body in 90-degree water, what's the average? 94. Yeah, you're right there. Over time, your core temperature is going to get to 94. Okay, so let's say that body temperature, let's say the water is now 88. So you average 88 and 98. What do we get? You get 93 degrees. You're in hypothermia. Okay. So just because it's warm water, if you spend too much time in it, you can actually become hypothermic. And on those kind of days when the water's warm, no one's expecting it, no one's prepared for it. If you do slip into hypothermia, no one's very likely going to even think about hypothermia. So your diagnosis is going to be very inaccurate, most likely, unless paramedics do arrive. Honestly, if you're out in the woods, it's a good chance paramedics aren't coming to you anytime soon. So you need to know this ahead of time. Just because the water's warm, you still got to do a little bit of math and understand that your body will average temperatures with the water around you. Also, a big thing that happens is hypothermia during the summer, spring, early fall, because people don't think it's going to happen. It's too warm outside. So oftentimes what happens, especially out here in the mountains, we can have a 15 to 20 degree temperature drop as soon as that sun goes behind the mountains. So it could be a nice 80 degrees. Oh, it's nice. Okay, I'm in the water, I'm having fun, everything's peachy. You get out, the sun drops, now you're at 65 degrees or even 60. That chill, man, that can hurt you. And plus, as water dries and wicks away, it cools whatever surface area it is on. So basically, you're going to cool down real quick and could slip into hypothermia. So be aware of sunset, even in warm environments. I'm not talking like tropical. Well, even a tropical environment, man, you never know. Just do the math. But if you are out in the mountains, playing in the water, sunset's coming, just take a moment to check yourself. How cold is it going to be? If it's 80 now, it may be 65 in a few minutes, maybe 60. Do I have a fire? Do I have something to dry off? Do I have a change of clothes? Just think ahead. Story time. And I'm glad I knew all this stuff when this happened. Last year, I was hunting in Virginia. I was in a tree stand about a 10-minute walk from my truck on a Forest Service road. I walked a trail, trail was maybe half a mile in, and then off trail maybe 100 yards. Not far. Really, really close. It was a real lazy hunt. But I was sitting in the tree. It's 40 degrees. I had my layers on, but I didn't have a shell. Okay, and it was a little breezier than I thought. So a shell, if you're not familiar with it, you have like your wicking layer, then you have a warm layer, then over that you have something that kind of blocks the wind. That's your shell. I didn't have a shell on. So the light breeze throughout the evening was just kind of sucking the wind through convection. Okay, convection it's important to know. Convection is basically the wind taking the heat from. Convection is basically the radiating heat from your body being taken away. So we radiate heat, and if the wind comes, it kind of takes that away. So all of a sudden, like, ooh, where'd that chill come from? That little shield you were creating from your radiating body heat just got sucked away. Now you're exposed. There's no barrier between the ambient temperature and your skin or your clothes. So I underestimated 40 degrees and a little breeze. So I gave it an hour. I'm like, man, I'm cold. It's only 40 degrees. Started playing that game. It's only 40 degrees. I do cold water immersion every day. It's fine. My mitochondria is adapted. Another hour went by. I'm like, holy crap, this is getting bad. And I was stubborn, man. I went to like hour 3, and I was like, okay, this is bad. I started planning my exit, and as I was visualizing my exit, I'm like, man, my dexterity it's pretty low right now. Even my like big motor skills, like these are big motor skills. Just large movements. Fine motor skills would be like sewing a needle, or writing tiny font, like little tiny stuff. Those go first. The fine skills, just being able to touch your fingertips and all that. It takes a little bit of dexterity. Usually those go first. When your big motor skills start depleting, that's pretty bad. And I was there. I was worried about, can I get out of my tree stand? Can I do, this deal, move my feet? Can I use my tree stand to get down? I was like, oh man. So I finally decided to get up, started coming down. All right, by that time it was dark, had my flashlight on. It's like, all right, I had trail text, marking my way out, cool. But at that point, I remember thinking, here's where it gets interesting. Black truck. I drive a black truck. I need to get to my black truck. But at that moment, my brain was so cold and I was so just disoriented. I didn't truly know what a black truck was. I do black truck in my head, and the best I could do was, I don't know what a black truck is, but when I see it, I'm pretty sure I'll put it together. That's bad, man. That's like legit serious, like I'm in a hypothermic state. My brain's not really computing very well at all. Like I don't even know what a black truck is. How do you not know what a black truck is? Dude, my brain's fried, man. It's not fried. It's cold. So I knew right then, that was my confirmation. Like, oh shit, this is real bad. But the training, I guess I have enough medical training in the back of my head to know, like, okay, just keep your wits, just keep your mind clear. and just do the best you can with what you got. Don't panic. It's not going to help. Black truck. And I knew when I came out of the woods, I'd hit that forward service road and take a right. My truck should be within, a 5-minute walk. So I finally got to the road. This is where it gets real weird. I took a right and walked. Dude, it felt like I walked forever. And I never saw my truck. Like, what? Then the panic. Man, it was hard to fight the panic then. This is getting really bad. And I thought with all that walking, I'd have been warm by now. Wasn't the case. So what I do? The only option I had, man, because I felt like I walked a while. I really think it was only like 2 or 3 minutes. With all the delirium going on, it felt a lot longer. So I turned around. Essentially, I was taking a left out of the woods. So I walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked. And I think I clocked a mile and a half. I went and measured it later on and used my phone to track the distance. It was about a mile and a half I walked in the opposite direction. So now, plus that walk, I'm at 2 miles. Then I walked back. So now I'm at 3.5 miles. So either on the first route, I passed my truck and didn't see it, which is weird because it's literally like right on the road. Either I walked right past it or I turned right before I got to it. Either way, everything was kind of stacking against me. Remember, this is only 40 degrees and a light breeze. Once I turned around, I started going back, originally towards where I believed my truck was. By the time I got to the point where I first turned around, I was at 5 miles. And I'm like, man, what? I just kept walking. And a minute later, there was my truck on the right. Got my truck, cranked it up. Thank God, thank God. I was like, I need the heat. And I was like, no, I got to drive. I got to get the engine going. No. Most of that is a little fuzzy. I remember driving down the Forest Service Road. And then I remember getting to my girlfriend's front door. And when I opened the door, she was there to greet me. She said, hi, oh. I don't think she even got the word hello or hi out of her mouth. She saw she was pretty pissed. I'll say that. She was pretty pissed when she saw my face. She didn't know what was going on. She was a little confused and concerned at first. But I was just like mumbling, shower, shower, shower. I just went in, turned the shower on like room temperature, which felt really hot. Another warning, when you're really, really cold, warm water feels scalding hot. Cool water can feel hot. So you just gotta, just heads up. You might want to have someone with you if you're trying to thaw your hands to tell you, is the water warm or is it cold or is it hot? You can't really tell once you're to a certain depth of hypothermia, or your hands are just freezing cold. Not even hypothermia, but your hands are freezing cold. Sometimes you can't tell if the water's hot or cold. But to close out the story, I got in the shower. There was a chair in there. I just spent like 30 minutes sitting in that shower, just trying to stop shivering. Oh man, it was freaking miserable. And she was pretty upset, rightfully. So there's my story on how I kind of accidentally became hypothermic. Not that anyone intentionally becomes hypothermic, but I definitely didn't expect it in 40 degrees and a very light breeze. Now you know. Don't do that. A little gear tip. Later on that day, I was like, forget it, never again. Because during the sit, I had hand warmers. I had hand warmers, in my belly, had the big chest pack out of my feet. But without oxygen, those little hand warmers don't really do a good job. They just stop creating heat. So I went to, I think it was Home Depot, and bought the Milwaukee battery-powered jacket. Man, it was like $200. I was surprised at how expensive it was. But I went the next day, same temperature, similar breeze. It was almost identical. And I had that jacket, which is breathable, and a shell. I got my tree stand. I put that thing on low for about 20 minutes, turned it off, and spent the next 3 hours there perfectly warm. Again, same environment. Everything was pretty much the same. Maybe my body adjusted a little bit to the experience from the night before. Maybe not. I'm not going to credit that. I'm going to credit that Milwaukee jacket. Man, did wonders. So it's worth investing in it. In the meantime, stay alive as long as you can.